Hi CRC planners! It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon and I wanted to tell you about a book I just read. It's called My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. I actually read this a couple of days ago. I was really sick and home from work, and really the only thing I could do was stay in bed. And so over the course of the day I just read this book in its entirety and I wanted to tell you about it. So this book is about the main character named Katie, or Kat as she's known in her new London job. And she's from Somerset, grew up on a farm, and her dream has been to live in London for as long as she can remember. And so first she finished school, then she got an internship in Birmingham, then she got another internship, and when we meet her, she's in her London job as a research associate at an advertising firm, which is exactly where she wants to be, and she's trying to figure out how to get herself noticed at work and how to pursue her dreams. And this book is about her not so perfect life, her joy at being in London, but her really small apartment, her hellish commute, her struggle to find a group of friends, her challenge to keep within her tiny budget, and all the things that are part of trying to figure out your career. So I found it a really relatable book. I found it a wonderful book in terms of discussing what that career transition, not even transition, career building I would call it, what that looks like. Again, it's you can see her trying to kind of Instagram her life. And it was good. I found it quite different from other Sophie Kinsella books, which I've read as well. If you're familiar with the Shopaholic series or her other books like The Domestic Goddess, what I found about those books is that they were very funny, but they were about, for instance, Shopaholic books are about the main character who has terrible financial skills, a temptation for brand names, a weakness in shopping malls, and an ability to make everything work out. And it's fun to read those books and to hear brand names that you've never heard of and to sort of admire the clothes, but it has no connection at all to my actual life. And this book I felt was the most likable Kinsella character I've ever seen, the most relatable story, and overall just, I think, her best book so far. Sophie Kinsella books are not about plot twists. And as soon as you start the book, you know who the main character is going to be, you know who the romantic lead is, you know probably what the plot twists are going to be. And then it's just about enjoying this really light, not very suspenseful, but enjoyable read nonetheless. And this book is no different. Within the first few pages, you recognize who the romantic lead is. And typically in her books, there's a romantic lead who is mysterious, kind of confusing, full of danger and mystery and exciting. And then you have them meet the main character, then go through a few experiences together, and then at the end for them to declare their feelings and their love. This book is no different. And what I found with this book is, instead of saying, "Aw, that was such a lovely love story," I found myself a little bit frustrated, because with these books, the male characters are always so unreadable. You never get any insight into what they were thinking the entire time. You just hear them sort of explain themselves at the end, and the book stops when the love story starts. And I've been married for a couple of years now, and I find myself very curious, well, what happens after that? How do they figure out how to work together? How do they figure out conflict? How does their love grow and change over time? The fact that this book ends at the beginning of the love story is a loss and a detriment. And I never really noticed it before, but maybe it's because I'm married. Now I feel disappointed and I guess unsatisfied with what the author is providing. So what I wanted to do is tell you that yes, this is a great book to read if you're sick or at the beach or on holiday or whatever. But if you want a book that actually is about the other half of the journey, once you meet what happens then, I have 5 of my favorite books that I wanted to share with you. A lot of these I've done blog posts or podcast episodes about, so I'm just going to mention them kind of briefly. But this is your list of books to actually help you learn about love. The first one, and this I haven't done a blog post about, is called The Course of Love by Elaine de Botton. It's a novel about 2 characters. It's set from the perspective of the main character named Robin Khan. And it's about how he meets his partner, their marriage, and then what happens to them over the 17-year course of their relationship. So how they deal with parenthood, how they deal with navigating the division of labor in their relationship, how they deal with personal autonomy, how they deal with jealousy, all those things that they encounter over their 17 years. And as the story is unfolding, you have these sections in italics where the narrator is reflecting on what we can learn from the character's love story. So you have the beginning of the book where they're telling the story of how they met and people are asking them how they met. And then the narrator saying, for something that has such little actual impact on the health of a relationship and the success of a relationship, we place a lot of importance on how people meet. And the line that is repeated throughout this book is, love is a skill and not an enthusiasm. The book then goes into them going to therapy, about them learning about things like attachment styles, which I found really interesting. It talks about lots and lots of things, and it's a book that you feel you're learning from the character's love story, but you're actually taking away things that you can think about for your own relationship as well. The second book is called This Is Us. I have a blog post that I'll link to down below. And this is about a couple married for 25 years, and the book starts off with the wife in the relationship saying, I don't want to be married anymore, and about the main character thinking about the 25 years of their relationship and how it went so wrong and how he can bring his relationship to life again. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. I read it actually when I've only been married for a couple of months, and it was a really lovely read. The third book, and I actually have a physical copy of this one, this is called The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman. It's the book that a lot of people get as a wedding present. It's a nonfiction book, and it's just about skills and tools to help you succeed and thrive in your relationship. It's about learning the things that you need to do in order to build a sound relationship house. I'm still reading this and still learning from this book, but it's a really helpful read. The fourth one is called Rising Strong by Brene Brown. This is a book that I've done a podcast episode about, and is about the moments in which you find yourself face down in the arena where you've had a setback, you've had a failure, and it's about how you get yourself back up again to try something again. And she talks about rumbling with what has happened and how you're feeling about it, reckoning with all those emotions, and then the revolution of figuring out how this helps you parent better, learn better, love better, and all the parts of your life better. The final book, I have a podcast, or actually a blog post about this one. It's called The Incredible Journey of Harold Fry. It's a book about a man who goes on a 500-mile walking journey. It's a novel to see a colleague who he worked with years ago who's dying of cancer, and he leaves to just to mail a condolence note and passes that post box and then keeps walking. And it's about how the relationship changes him, what he thinks about in terms of his marriage, which has been dead for several years at that point, what his wife is thinking about, and really how the relationship changes through this process and through this journey. So these are 5 books, links down below, and the ones that I haven't written about, I'll link a description to where you can find in a book depository. But overall, these are really great books to pick up. I try and profile books by people of color on this channel, and books that feature characters by people of color. All of these books are not by people of color. And what I'm really craving for is, yes, books that talk about relationships, that have incredible love stories, but also books that feature diverse characters. So my next video review will be about The Other Half of Happiness by Aisha Malik. It's the sequel to Sophia Khan Is Not Obliged, which is a book I profiled a few months ago, and is about the love story of a character named Sophia Khan in England, in London, trying to find Mr. Right. And then this second book picks up where the first book left off, where she's now married, she's found the guy, and how they figure out each other post-marriage. So I'm super excited about that book. I feel like if I was to write a book, that's what it would be about. It would be about, okay, you've met the person, which seems like a challenge in and of itself and certainly has its ups and downs, but what happens after? How do you figure out who each other are? How do you build a sound relationship? How do you work through conflict? How do you do all the things that make the two of you stronger? And what are the funny stories that happen along the way? That's a book that I want to read, and I haven't quite found yet, but maybe that'll be the book that I write in the future. Who knows? Stay tuned. If you would like to watch the next video though, do subscribe to the channel, watch the videos that I've linked to down below, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, toodles.